Hey everyone, bloodmako here, and this is my Lufenia video for Yuna's event. It's called Sanctuary's Guardian. Right, so let's start with the Lufenia. I said I wanted to bring Noctis and I was very stubborn with it. I literally brought two characters that doesn't actually work very well with Noctis, Yuna and Porum. Here's my first mistake. So I straight away used Porum's LD, and the reason why I say it's a mistake is basically because, as you notice, there was no follow-up. That's because there wasn't any slot to place the LD buff. So yeah, that was my first mistake. I should have just passed Porum turn, just gave the buff to someone, give a buff to someone else. After Yuna went, then apply the Porum LD buff. Now, the reason why it didn't work is because the mechanic for this is, if you have a frame silver debuff on you, you will not be able to put or replace it. I'm not sure whether there's any gold buff yet, even in my JP, but yeah, you can't replace a silver frame debuff with a frame buff. So that's something to to be a bit mindful of, because these bosses love to put frame debuff on you. And the reason why I say these two characters doesn't really work well with Noctis is because Yuna's cheer, because it doesn't, in fact cheer and Isuna, it doesn't target the boss, so technically you are not going to bring your turn forward. So yeah, there's no it doesn't work well with warp step. So if you are using, I don't know why you ever used the same team comp as me, unless you also really like Noctis. But yeah, if that happens for you, then what you want to do is basically just use HP attack to get the cycle going until the warp step is over, and then you use your Isuna or Cheer. Another thing I noticed is that I really should use Cheer more often, whenever I can actually. The only problem with this fight is that they love to apply debuff. They apply it at certain thresholds. Basically when the orb comes up, which is like 79%, and another one more time I believe at 49%, after which they will also heal themselves. I will come to that when it actually happens. But yeah, so another time that they actually do that is when you take too many turns in a row. So that's something that wasn't inside the description. I'm not sure if it's at the usual website that I go to, Thornberry Troop, but if it is, I'll definitely put it inside. Even if it isn't, I'll still put inside my description. I'm not sure exactly how many turns I went. You notice it towards the end where I was just trying to kill them off because they were low enough, and they just keep applying the most annoying one, which was Aggravate. Yeah, Aggravate. So basically how that works is equivalent to the boss version of Noctis warp step. So but the interesting thing is, instead of you taking a turn, it is when when the boss takes a turn, it is when you take a turn. So basically when you take a turn, I believe it's going to come up soon, and I'm also timing it right such that at 79%, in fact when one goes down to 79%, you will apply the debuff on you. When the second one goes to 79%, you will apply it again. So yeah, don't forget, it actually applies twice. Yeah, I believe I believe that frame debuff is the Aggravate, which is the annoying one. If it's the HP set, I would have just left it on, I believe, because with Porum in there, she can just constantly heal Noctis, which is, I mean, the issue that I had with so many of my runs before this was that Noctis would die because he has the lowest HP among everyone, mainly because he's not boosted. But yeah, so when one drops down to 79%, it will apply the debuff. The other one drops down, it will apply again. So if you can time it right such that both hit 79% and then immediately it's Yuna's turn, that would be the best. But if not, then your character might have to take a turn, and when that happens, after the character's turn is over, the boss will immediately take a turn regardless of where he is in the turn order. Basically something similar to Noctis warp step. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Aggravate. He applies Aggravate. So you really need someone to be able to cleanse this. A few cleansers off the top of my head is Yuna, definitely. I mean, it is her event. You got Penelo. Yeah, she works. You can put her as a core, but it's only for one time, you know, so she will serve better as a party member. And another good thing is that she takes up your slots, your buff slots. So another way to dodge the aggravate is to basically fill up your buff slots or your debuff slots, whatever. So basically they cannot apply the debuff on you, because for our party members it is still only 6 slots, so we don't have to worry about you know, anything beyond that. That is one way. Another way is Yuffie. You know, if you have Yuffie build, she works really well as well. The only issue, I mean, it's not really an issue, but the sad thing is that the bosses are immune to their own debuff. I guess the developers decided that they're not gonna let us cheese this, because later in the fight the bosses actually do apply a HP sap in the form of a debuff called Burn, and it's not as much as the boss that we cheese, the chariot monster, I forget what it's called already. But yeah, it's not as much as that, but I believe it's quite significant. And right here I was actually forced to heal Noctis, because if I didn't heal him, most probably he would die. And yeah, these bosses love to do HP attacks, so you can bring, in fact I would recommend that you bring some form of HP damage mitigation, be it Warrior of Light. Gladio works, except that the bosses do a few AoE HP attacks, so you need to be careful of that. Who else? Gabrov's brother. What's his name? I can't remember his name. The tank basically. Yeah, he works as well. In fact, he will absorb all the HP damage, and the bosses don't do any multiple HP dumps, so he actually works really well. In fact, he basically can replace Porom, but the good thing about Porom is that she can do her follow-up attack, which will almost always brings the boss Brave down to 0. There are a few instances where the boss Brave was so high that basically I believe it was like 30 something K, and after Porom's follow-up it became 7k, so it becomes within break range, you know, for almost everyone. Yeah, and right there I actually use Emmy's core, the first one, because first of all I didn't need to delay them, and second because I believe one was going to basically I wanted to load up their debuff slots and buff slots, their debuff buff slot, okay, and because one was going to honestly I didn't know why I did it there, but the reason why I brought Emmy was because I wanted to load up their slots. Actually I could have just brought Ferris. It would have cleared the HP regen and also apply a decent debuff. So yeah, that was another one of my mistakes. But Emmy did come in clutch, not really clutch, but she did become very useful later on in the fight, very late in the fight. But yeah, instead of bringing Emmy, you can always just bring Ferris. Right here I'm just looking at Noctis buffs. I just want to see which one I needed to refresh and stuff. I was just wondering if I needed to refresh his LD buff. I mean, it is 16 turns, but I kind of lost track of how many turns Noctis took. But yeah, so I got lucky with the confuse. That's another nice thing about Porom, is that these bosses can be confused. So along with the HP mitigation, she can also confuse the boss and also bring their Brave down to 0. And also, wait, what was my last point? Confuse them. Did I say that? I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure whether being debuffed immune will stop the frame ones. I don't believe so, because I believe being debuff immune cannot be attached to a debuff or whatever the sentence is. It works on generic buffs. I don't believe it works on frame buffs or frame debuffs. So yeah, you might want to be a little bit more careful if you're going to bring a team like that, because you still need to have someone that get rid of it. Again, I'm not sure if I will definitely do my research before putting it in the comments, but this is my my 2 cents. yeah, so right here I was actually considering pushing one of them to yeah, I was actually considering pushing one of them to 49%, which is why I decided to use his LD. I believe it was B. I was trying to get B down enough. Yeah, correct, B. Because with the LD buff active, I didn't need to use Warp Strike or Shooting Star. So because I really wanted to from, I believe it was 50 something percent, 56. So I was trying to get it down to 49 with just Noctis alone, because if you look at the next turn, it was actually Yuna. And thankfully, just before the boss break, he actually after the boss break, he actually went down to 49%, and then it was immediately Yuna's turn. So she could just, you know, erase the debuff that he applied on us. And then I actually made my second mistake, which was not loading up the boss B with enough debuffs. So he actually took a turn even though he was confused, and he managed to get one turn of the HP regen, which is quite significant. Yeah, 90,000. And there was another, you know, 4 more turns active. So I would really recommend that you load them up with debuffs, because they do not cleanse. They do not have a cleanse mechanic. If any debuff were to disappear, it was because it ran out, not because the boss cleansed. So yeah, just load them up with debuff at them. Well, maybe not at the beginning, but somewhere near the 49% threshold, so that when they try to apply their HP regen, it will not stick. They will still do the Kyoraga, which will still heal them, but at least you don't have a ticking regen. You can always just remove it or seal it with Balthier, or with Lock. Lock is also boosted for this event, so I guess that was one of the mechanics they decided to implement. But it is not something that's very crucial. I mean, you can just let it take all you want, you know, or just basically don't let them take any more turns. I mean, with Emmy it's very easy, because you can delay them, you can delete them, you know, just to worry about them applying that Aggravate debuff on you. Right here I decided to bring my Cloud of Darkness friend in, and yes, I believe. Wait, did she come in with 5 turns? I can't remember. I can't remember if it was my friend or just took a Cloud of Darkness. Either way, it was actually a mistake, because she was supposed to have 5 turns. But yeah, again, I timed it just nice that Yuna would be able to take a turn. Or rather, after the boss applied the debuff, it was immediately Yuna's turn. Because I really need that cleanse to be gone. I mean, sorry, that debuff to be gone, so I really need to cleanse it. And if you notice, Yuna has not been able to. Right, here's the most annoying and most obnoxious thing ever. After cleansing it, after cleansing the debuff, the boss decided, hey, you know what, I'll just apply the debuff again, even though it's not my turn. And I was like, what the heck, you know? I did not expect that mechanic. I mean, on hindsight, I should have, you know, their turns can be deleted, their turns can be delayed. The developers will have bound to make sure that it is impossible to just, you know, permanently delete them. But yeah, so thankfully the debuff did not stick to Porom. I can't remember if it was because she had not enough slots, or because it missed or something like that. There is a chance that it will miss, but I think it was because of the slots. So yeah, I just clear it with Yuna's LD, and then I believe I was going to utilize Cloud of Darkness as much as possible before I go into the summon, because I didn't want. I was thinking of making sure that these bosses do not take another turn. So I was thinking, you know what, Noctis should be coming back soon. He can just apply a warp step in again. So I was just trying to get as many turns in as possible before having to summon, basically. And in fact, I was actually surprised by this. I didn't notice that Cloud Darkness. In fact, actually, I wasn't thinking of summoning yet. I was actually planning my burst. But I didn't notice that Cloud Darkness was actually leaving soon. So I was forced to burst here. If not, it would have been better if I could delay the burst just a little bit more. But it was no big deal actually. So Yuna's burst sequence is quite sad actually. It's basically just LD and HP spamming. And that's the end of it, you know. You do not want to use your EX because it doesn't hit very hard. If it's a single target, you just use the single target HP attack. If it's not, then I suggest you just use her HP damage. In fact, actually, I'm not sure whether her EX does more. Maybe, you know, maybe. But I just decided to do the HP spam. I mean, the damage was still decent, mainly because of Cloud of Darkness, but yeah, I mean, it's not that bad, I guess. And Yuna's burst effect is actually really nice. I noticed that with when Noctis came back, he was doing 15,000 damage. Sorry, 150,000 damage. Yeah. So she increased the brave or the HP damage cap by 1. So by another 10,000. So that's pretty nice. I can see why people are using her instead of Cloud of Darkness, I guess. But I mean, Cloud of Darkness is still good. So yeah, they applied the debuff here again. Thankfully, Cloud of Darkness was leaving. Yeah, Cloud of Darkness left. Noctis came back. He doesn't have the debuff. Applied the Kurasami debuff, which should have been on before Noctis left. That was another one of my mistake. But yeah, I mean, maybe that will affect the HP damage that in Yuna's burst sequence. Would have been nice to hit 3 million, but oh well. Not the worst thing that could happen. So yeah, I was applying, or I mean, not really applying, and just nice when I used his C65, they decided to reapply the debuff, and I was like, shit. So Noctis now can't even take any actions because if okay, I didn't explain how Aggravate works. So Aggravate, wait, I did. So yeah, if I had take a turn, then basically the boss will go, and I really didn't want to take the risk after going so far into the fight. So I just decided to summon immediately. I know that there's one summon that actually cleanses your debuffs. I believe is Diablos, and he will remove all buffs on the bosses as well. So he is actually a better summon than Alexander. The only thing Alexander was good for was because these bosses love to spam HP attacks. So at one point of time, Noctis definitely took more than the HP requirement to trigger Alexander's blessings. So yeah, that was the one nice thing that Alexander provided. But if not, then yeah, Diablos was definitely a better choice. Granted, there was no elemental damage, but yeah, you know, he could cleanse, and he could cleanse my team and cleanse the boss. You know, so definitely the better choice. Then I wouldn't have to use an Insuna in the summon. You know, I could use that one turn to do even more damage. Not that it matters in the grand scheme of things, but I mean, it would have been nice if I had known all this. But yeah, the debuffs will not trigger in the summon, and you also don't have to worry about the boss. I mean, if the debuff doesn't trigger, then the boss obviously cannot take a turn in the summon. But you can also, actually what I was planning to do was use warp step in the summon itself. But the mistake that I made was I didn't anticipate that Yuna would speed up. So I had to use the Isuna in the last second of the summon. If not, it would have been nice to apply warp step. And another thing that I should have paid more attention was Yuna's sheer buff was actually actually expired. So yeah, that's another thing that I could have paid more attention to. And how Yuna's LD works is basically you must have no debuffs on your party members, and then there will be a HP and brave damage up, I believe. I know there's definitely a HP damage up, but I'm not sure about the brave. I suspect there is, but yeah, I should have used Gabrov's LD right there. I'm not sure if I actually did use it throughout the entire fight. I mean, the reason why I actually put Gabrov in was because his first call. In fact, you saw me use his first call. It was basically because it applies 4 debuffs, 2 frame and 2 generic. So, I mean, not frame, 2 frame and not 2 unframe. I mean, whatever. But yeah, I was basically trying to load up the 8 slots that there was. I mean, the bosses had. Again, bringing fairies will have just load up 4 ability, and I just have to worry about another 4. Noctis point blank was 1. I could have just cry and you know, trust in RNG, but I could have just used another call. You know, Gabrov's call would have loaded it with another 2, and I'll be fine. But yeah, that was something that I should have done. Fairies instead of Emmy. But I mean, you did see that Emmy was quite I wouldn't say important, but the timing that I used Emmy was perfect, in the sense that you notice that the boss apply the debuffs at the right time and stuff like that, other than the fact that they apply on Noctis. But yeah, you know, so a delete and delay comp does work. You just need to have someone to be able to cleanse your party member, to make sure that the boss, even if the boss goes, you're still able to continue. Or just bring I mean, in addition to that, maybe you want to bring a healer as well, because chances is the boss will also definitely spam a HP attack. They have a few HP attacks, I believe. In fact, if they have enough Brave, they just do the single target. And if not, then I believe if most of their HP attack is all. Yeah, so if it's a... No, wait, sorry. Sometimes the single target is disguised as a HP, is disguised as an all attack. But the thing is, the HP attack only hits the one single target. So everybody will get attacked by the Brave, but only the target, the one target will take HP damage. So yeah, that is something. I mean, it's not very difficult to deal with, but yeah, I mean, it's just another advice I can give you. I mean, I did this like 4 or 5 times. Failed many times because Noctis just dies. I tried with Gladio as well, and even then Noctis still dies because even though it's a single target, Gladio's cover didn't trigger because it's considered an all attack in the end. So yeah, right now Yuna's gonna finish the boss off. I really wanted to see if I could finish him off with the LD, but I used up more. So yeah, this is the boss fight. More annoying than anything else, you know, because of all the debuffs, but still very much manageable. So yeah, guys, good luck with your run, and artifact spheres at the end of the video. In fact, like right now. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.